It's not your job, it's your control. Every Sunday evening, millions of people experience that familiar knot in their stomach. The weekend's freedom is slipping away, and Monday morning looms like a storm cloud on the horizon. Your mind races through unfinished projects, difficult conversations, and endless to-do lists. This phenomenon has become so common, we've given it a name: the Sunday Scaries. But what if the solution to this weekly dread isn't found in career changes or weekend distractions, but in a philosophy that's over 2,000 years old? The Stoics understood something fundamental about human anxiety that we've forgotten in our modern workplace culture. They recognized that our suffering doesn't come from external circumstances themselves, but from our relationship to those circumstances. When it comes to work stress and Sunday scaries, we're often torturing ourselves over things that haven't happened yet, may never happen, or are entirely outside our sphere of influence. The dichotomy of control is perhaps the most practical tool the Stoics left us. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of Rome's great philosophers, taught that everything in life falls into two categories: things we can control and things we cannot. Our opinions, decisions, desires, and actions belong to us. Everything else, our reputation, our boss's mood, company politics, economic conditions, and whether our colleagues like us, exists outside our direct control. This distinction sounds simple, but applying it to work anxiety reveals why Sunday scaries have such a grip on us. We spend our mental energy worrying about outcomes we cannot guarantee. Will the presentation go well? Will the client be satisfied? Will I get that promotion? These questions create anxiety precisely because their answers depend on factors beyond our control. The presentation's success depends partly on the audience's receptiveness. Client satisfaction involves their expectations and circumstances we may not even know about. The promotion depends on budget constraints, office politics, and competing candidates. When Sunday evening arrives, our minds don't distinguish between productive planning and useless worry. We rehearse conversations that may never happen. We imagine worst-case scenarios that rarely materialize. We try to control the uncontrollable through the sheer force of anxiety, as if worrying hard enough could somehow influence Monday's outcomes. The Stoic approach offers a different path. Instead of trying to control outcomes, we focus on controlling our preparation, effort, and response. You cannot control whether your boss likes your report, but you can control the quality of work you put into it. You cannot control whether you get criticized in the meeting, but you can control how you respond to feedback. You cannot control company layoffs, but you can control how you maintain your skills and professional network. This shift in focus from outcomes to process doesn't mean lowering your standards or not caring about results. It means recognizing where your actual power lies. A Stoic employee works diligently not because they can guarantee success, but because diligent work is within their control and aligns with their values. They prepare thoroughly for presentations not to ensure applause, but because preparation is their responsibility. Marcus Aurelius, who faced the ultimate work stress as Roman emperor, wrote extensively about this principle in his personal journal. He reminded himself daily that he could control his own actions and judgments, but not the actions of others or the results of his decisions. This wasn't resignation or apathy, it was clarity about where to direct his energy. The Sunday scaries thrive on our confusion about control. We feel responsible for things beyond our power, while neglecting the things actually within our grasp. We worry about tomorrow's meeting instead of preparing for it. We stress about our coworkers' opinions instead of focusing on our own performance. We fear potential criticism instead of developing our ability to receive feedback constructively. Breaking free from Sunday scaries requires the practical application of the dichotomy of control. Start by identifying what specifically triggers your work anxiety. Write down your worries, then sort them into two columns: things within your control and things outside it. You'll likely find that most anxiety-inducing thoughts fall into the second category. For items within your control, create action plans. If you're worried about a presentation, you can control your preparation time, the quality of your slides, and your practice sessions. If you're stressed about workload, You can control how you prioritize tasks when you ask for help, and how you manage your time. These actions replace anxiety with purposeful activity. For items outside your control, practice acknowledgement and release. You cannot control whether your colleague takes credit for your idea, but you can control how you document your work and communicate with your supervisor. You cannot control company restructuring, but you can control how you adapt and what skills you develop. Acknowledge these limitations not as defeats, but as reality. The Stoics also understood that our judgments create our emotional experience. Work stress often comes not from events themselves, but from our interpretation of those events. A critical email from your boss isn't inherently stressful. The stress comes from your judgment that criticism means failure, that failure is catastrophic, or that your worth depends on your boss's approval. By examining these judgments, we can reduce their power. Is criticism really catastrophic, or is it information you can use to improve? Does one person's opinion truly determine your value? When we see our thoughts as interpretations rather than facts, we gain the freedom to choose more helpful perspectives. This doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist or forcing positive thinking. The Stoic approach acknowledges reality while choosing rational responses. Yes, the project deadline is tight. Yes, the client is demanding. Yes, the workplace can be unfair. But adding anxiety to these challenges doesn't solve them. It only depletes your energy for dealing with them effectively. The Sunday Scaries also feed on our tendency to live in the future rather than the present. We spend Sunday evening mentally inhabiting Monday morning, experiencing problems that haven't occurred yet. The Stoics emphasized presence, focusing on the current moment and the current task. Sunday evening has its own value and purpose. It's not merely a waiting room for Monday. When work anxiety arises, return to the fundamental question: is this within my control? If yes, what specific action can I take? If no, can I accept this limitation and redirect my energy elsewhere? This practice, repeated consistently, rewires our habitual thought patterns. The Sunday Scaries lose their power when we stop trying to control Monday from Sunday's couch. Some argue that this philosophy promotes passivity or acceptance of poor working conditions. But the dichotomy of control actually empowers more effective action. When you stop wasting energy on uncontrollable factors, you have more resources for what you can actually influence. You might not control your toxic boss, but you can control whether you update your resume, set boundaries, or seek transfers. You might not control industry downturns, but you can control your skill development and financial planning. The Stoic approach to work stress isn't about becoming emotionless or indifferent. It's about directing your emotional energy wisely. Care deeply about your work quality, your integrity, and your growth, all within your control. Release attachment to specific outcomes, others' opinions, and circumstances beyond your influence. As Sunday evening approaches, remember that the scaries are not inevitable. They're a symptom of misplaced control, trying to manage what we cannot while neglecting what we can. Your job may be demanding, your workplace may be challenging, but your peace of mind remains within your control. The Stoics knew this truth, and it remains as relevant in our modern offices as it was in ancient Rome. The next time Sunday scaries creep in, pause and apply the dichotomy of control. List tomorrow's challenges, sort them by control, and focus only on your sphere of influence. You'll find that most workplace anxiety dissolves when we stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start taking responsibility for what's actually ours to manage. It's not your job that creates the stress, it's your relationship with control. Change that relationship, and Sunday becomes just another day, not a weekly descent into dread.